I'm not asking for much, man. You know, really. And for future reference, when you get into a pissing match with someone with the power of arrest, you are nearly always going to lose. You know, the case and the way that you've treated us, it shows me that you just refuse to accept authority. How are we supposed to deal with it? I promise you, I don't care whoever you have, if you flake on us again.
Ah yes, the famous traveler plate. If you've watched enough sovereign citizen videos, you already know where this is going. The theory is simple: they claim they're traveling, not driving, so licensing laws don't apply. The problem: courts across the country have rejected that argument over and over again. Quick question for you guys: if changing a word magically exempted you from the law, what would stop everyone from doing it?
On this case, Judge, and I'm approaching on two things: one, bond reinstatement, and PC on this case, Judge. She and I have already discussed it on this case, and we just both want you to hear the PC if we can, Judge.
Okay.
And then on the bond reinstatement as well, Judge.
So officers initiated a traffic stop in Harris County, Texas for a vehicle having a fictitious plate bearing the word traveler on it. During the stop, the defendant refused to provide...
Traveler? Okay.
During the stop, the defendant refused to provide ID or insurance information, stating, "I do not consent to this." Officer attempted to remove the defendant from the vehicle, and defendant actively resisted by pulling his arm away from deputies until he was detained.
Okay. Tell me what.
So we looked at, Madam Prosecutor, the interference with duties of public servant, Your Honor. Even if my client is failing to give them that, then it is an arrestable offense. But in this situation, it is, Judge. However, in this particular situation, he didn't interfere with anything in terms of his own arrest. I can, if it was a resisting or something to that effect, I can.
They're just trying to get him out of the car.
I don't disagree.
It's classic sovereign case where got the license plate, think that traveling by right is what I think how they term it.
In this situation, Judge, and the reason I'm employing upon the court is, even from what Madam Prosecutor has seen on the video, they're pulling and tugging at his arm, which put my client in some fear. It was more than one officer. It was pretty.
But he still has a duty. If they're asking you to come out, they can lawfully do that.
And
there are videos, and go on YouTube, right? There are hundreds of videos where officers will literally destroy your car to get you out. When you get into a pissing match with a person who has the power of arrest, who's going to win, Mr. Daly?
we don't disagree, Your Honor.
Right. You know what I mean? That's real life.
We don't disagree, Your Honor. I think under the circumstances of what actually happened, it was not Mr. Daly's position to resist or to interfere. That was not. He was concerned for his safety at that point. And actually, I don't know. Did you hear that on the video? Right. And so in reviewing the video, it was pretty quick, pretty brash. They didn't give him an opportunity to respond per the prosecutor. In this situation, it wasn't as if he was intentionally.
Remember, this is just a mere probable cause.
Yes,
so,
I agree.
They ask you to come out of the car one time. Yeah, it's really, that's, so, I think that there's enough probable cause to go forward now. The problem is, Mr. Daly, is that we revoke your bond. Your bond is set at $2,501, and you've continually failed to appear. So, the case and the way that you've treated us, it shows me that you just refuse to accept authority. How are we supposed to deal with that? How do we deal with that, Timberl?
Your Honor, the only reason I bring to your attention is I asked the court to take into consideration. We have a Black male works every day who, and I hate to put that on the court, but I do in this particular climate, that has never been in contact with any particular law enforcement court system. And from what I can see and what I hear out here from a lot of my black male, and I'm sure it's common knowledge, is that because they are unfamiliar with the court system, they don't know, number one. Number two, when they do come in contact with police, and my mother is assistant chief of police, so I can understand, even when I was younger, I was taught that there are certain things that you have to do with when a police officer even stop you on a speeding ticket. What we don't know is whenever these officers come up, when you're somebody who don't have the privilege of having a police officer as a parent, or who isn't familiar and is being raised in this particular climate and seeing what they see on TV and seeing what they hear and everything that has occurred, you don't know what the proper steps are. I was trained from when I was grown up what you do. I'm not saying that what he did was right or wrong. I'm not saying that how he reacted to this particular court, it is wrong. However, I'm employing upon the court to ask the court to take into a little bit of consideration, number one, from his perspective. All defendants, can't just say this, but I do see that, from what I've known from this particular case and now in talking to him, I do believe that there is a sense of sometimes they just don't know. Sometimes they just don't. So I'm asking to reinstate his PR bond. I am now on the case where about me, I'm a tight attorney. I run a tight ship. So, and by which of way I believe I can reach him and getting him to court and resolving this matter, which is what I talked to the prosecutor about when you were on break. It's like, let's just resolve this. Let's take care of this.
I'll buy it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm not going to do this again, though. I promise you. I don't care whoever you have. If you flake on us again, that's 3 times. It's out. I'm not going to do it again. Do you understand, Mr. Daly? I mean, when you come to court, good things happen. When you don't show up.
And this is where the judge drops one of the most brutally honest courtroom lessons you'll ever hear. Is it fair? Maybe not always. Is it reality? Absolutely. Once an officer lawfully orders you out of a vehicle, refusing usually doesn't end with a philosophical debate, it ends with handcuffs. Sometimes the smartest legal strategy isn't winning the argument. It's surviving long enough to make the argument later.
Do you have a Texas driver's license?
No, right now.
You're not allowed to drive.
Right.
You have a bond condition, and you've signed an affidavit with me today promising you're not going to drive. I don't care how you term it. Driving, traveling, however you're going to word it, whatever you do, do not get into the driver's seat of an automobile, a motorcycle, anything with a combustible engine where you can get on the road unless you have approval from us. Do you understand? I don't care that you have to work. I don't care if you have to go to church. I don't care if you're going to a funeral. I don't care if you're going to wherever it may be. Do not drive. Do you understand? Heed this warning. You're not going to get another one. Okay, Timberly, I'll reinstate the bond.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I'll talk to her. We were going to try to talk to Chief, but it's pretty busy today.
I think the case is only 3 months old,
Yes,
so
sir.
you've got time. You can do whatever you want.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge.
Because you have a lawyer, I will waive your appearance. You don't have to waste your time coming to court now, but you must stay in touch with her, and she'll tell you when you got to come back to court. If she comes back and tells me she can't get a hold of you because you're playing games or you've gone AWOL or whatnot, or you get arrested for something else, all bets off. We good? I'm not asking for much, man. Really. And for future reference, when you get into a pissing match with someone with the power of arrest, you are nearly always going to lose. It's just the way it works. And as a young black man in today's society, you got to be extra special careful because things can go really wrong really quick. And there's evidence of that over and over and over. Okay? All right. Good luck, guys.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge.
Notice how the judge isn't really talking about the traffic stop anymore. He's talking about trust. In court, credibility is currency. Miss enough hearings, ignore enough orders, and suddenly every future request becomes an uphill battle. Whether you're right or wrong on the underlying issue almost stops mattering if the judge thinks you're not going to follow the rules.
What is your date of birth, Mr. Gray?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. 72 is my date of birth. I have a.
Can you say that again? Go ahead and say say what you were about to say.
I have a motion before the court, Your Honor.
Let me first start. Do you need a lawyer, sir?
No, Your Honor.
City of Detroit versus Christopher Gray. State your name for the record.
Christopher Lamar Gray.
All right, today is the date and time set for a pretrial, and then there's warrants on the other matters. I'm gonna enter not guilty plea on your behalf. I'm gonna give you a $0 bond. And I'll recall the warrants. What is your motion, sir?
I have a motion to strike and dismiss.
What are the bases?
Basis of federal rules of civil procedure. Number one, there's no claim. There's no ratification of the claim.
There is a claim. There is a. You want me to read out I waived the reading of the information. You want me to read the allegations that have been made into the record? Do you need me to do that?
No, I don't. No, I don't, Your Honor.
I deny your motion on that basis. What else do you have to say?
You deny my motion because of what, Your Honor?
Yes.
There is no real.
I denied your motion because there is a and this is criminal procedure, not civil procedure. But I denied your motion because there is an allegation here. You're saying, Your Honor, you're saying this is a criminal matter? Yes. Okay, well then we need the corpus delicti. And so that's what I'm asking for. If there was a criminal matter, basically what you're telling me is that something has happened, someone has either been damaged or someone has been or either someone has been damaged or someone has something has been come up missing. And if that's the case, then that means that there is a crime. And if there's a crime, then there is the what do you have that's saying that I did the crime? What you're saying that I created this crime that hurt this person, and if I hurt this person and I created the crime, then a third thing that you have to have is the identification of the person. You have the identification of the person, which is me, but you don't have a person saying that they were hurt or damaged, or the crime that's saying what I did to hurt or damage the person. So how do you have a crime? Okay. You went to law school? No, Your Honor, I have not. And where did you get that from? Where did you learn all that? I've been studying for quite some time, trying to understand what's going on. I have a different perspective as to what's being said that happened. I'm understanding more the procedure that is necessary for a crime to go for them to bring a crime forward. I'm understanding that a bit more. And where did you get that understanding? I've done some Cornell law studies. I've also sat down with a couple of friends who have had some issues. I picked up wherever I could, just started to study the law, just started to go back through Cornell law, started to figure out what was going on and to understand the nature of how what a crime is and everything else. So just a course of me searching it out. And you're citing Cornell law for all of that you just said to the court? No, what I did, Your Honor, was I realized that one of the biggest portions that you have to have is you have to have the corpus delicti. And that is in when you're being charged criminally. What is the corpus delicti? What do you mean, what is the corpus delicti? What is your understanding of what corpus delicti is? That is the corpus delicti is the law that's saying that there is a crime that's being committed. So in order to do that, you have to show the corpus delicti, which is you saying this is what happened. This is how this person was damaged. So, there is no the officer on these dates, because I got a lot of them, said I object. I object. The officer works. Okay, I apologize, Your Honor. I apologize, Your Honor. My apologies.
Officer says that you drove a vehicle that wasn't registered and wasn't titled, or titled and or untitled, that you drove without a valid driver's license, that you drove without valid insurance. Again, on a different occasion, they allege that you drove without a valid driver's license and no insurance. And then on a different occasion, they allege that you drove without unregistered or untitled, or both, and drove without a valid driver's license, repeat offender, that you failed to have a trailer plate, and that you failed to secure a load on your vehicle. And on another occasion, on the same occasion that you failed to secure, that they allege you failed to secure the load, failed to have a trailer plate on your vehicle, that you didn't provide a valid driver's license. So those are the crimes. And in the state of Michigan, whether you agree or not, they are crimes. So based on your motion and all of that stuff you talk about, corpus delicti and things like that, the court denies the motion, okay? Based on those reasons I just said. Now, how do you want to move forward? Because wait a minute, I'm not finished.
My apologies, Your Honor.
How do you want to move forward? Because in my experience, someone that comes into court, as you do, you do not want to take an offer. You do not believe that you need to have plates or registration or insurance, and you just disregard all of that portion of the law. And either you are going to move forward by having a trial, or you're going to take a deal. What do you want to do, sir?
Your Honor, first I want to put my objection on the record. And at that point,
whatever your objection is noted. What do you want to do, sir? Do you want a trial? You have two options: trial, or you want to take a deal.
Your Honor, I request a jury trial.
A jury trial.
A jury trial, yes, Your Honor.
Very good. Ms. Mathis, I need a jury trial date. Please.
And if I may, Your Honor, what time is Mr. Gray presently docketed?
I don't even think it matters, but I'll tell you. I don't think it matters. He's got the newer cases and the older cases are pre-trial at 8:35. Christopher Lamar Gray, and then he had some in warrant status. I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cases into the record. You know what
This is a classic sovereign citizen crossover mistake. He's citing civil procedure in a criminal case. That's a little like showing up to a football game with a basketball rulebook and demanding a foul call. The legal terminology might sound impressive, but courts care about whether the argument actually applies to the case sitting in front of them.
I want to ask Mr. Gray, and you can choose to answer it or not.
Yes, Your Honor.
But what I surmise and what I've heard, and I don't know if you're alleging the same thing, is that and you basically did allege the same thing, that no crime has been committed because no person has been, the people of the state of Michigan are in danger of you driving without the proper documentation or anything like that. But I don't, and I'm gonna surmise, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you're gonna say that there's no jurisdiction to be able to pull you over because no one has been injured. Is that correct?
I think that what I'm saying is that the city of Detroit had an officer pull me over to say that you're not following these rules. And my stance is, okay, well then that's fine. If we're following rules, then therefore let me make sure that you as well as are following the rules, because if I don't do that, then freedoms are lost. So that is that is the way that I proceed, to say, okay, well then if we're playing cards and we play and show me yours, if this is your hand and this is mine, and let's proceed accordingly to the law. That's it. That's my only standing is if someone doesn't stand up every once in a while and define the edges, then they all disintegrate and people lose rights.
And you know something? With that
Yes, sir.
being said, I would agree with you 1,000%.
Mhm.
That's why I pride myself, and I hope I'm doing a good job for the citizens that come in here and the police, for that matter, and the prosecution, that I am calling the balls and strikes right. And if something doesn't proceed as it should, then I will dismiss the case one way or the other. But in my short time on this bench, and in my time at practicing law as a defense attorney, I get this, they can't pull me over. I've heard the corpus delicti, first time the civil procedure has been thrown at me. But from from the way I see it, is that you just don't feel that the police have a jurisdiction to pull you over for these issues. Is that correct?
Do I have again, Your Honor, what I feel is that if we are following rules, that if I have to follow the rules, and every person out there, all of these officers, everybody else has to follow the rules. So if it comes down
what I'm
to
gonna,
it,
what I'm gonna hope that you do by
Yes,
the
Your Honor.
time you come back on the trial date, this jury trial date is gonna be strike that, March the 18th, 2025.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're probably gonna have an audience because everybody follows me on these cases all the time.
I understand.
All right, and I don't know if that's what you want, but we're gonna do that.
It's
audience.
not that.
March the 18th, 2025. We're gonna have a final pre-trial date. Final pre-trial. This is to you, Mr. Bowman, especially the day before, on February 17th, 2025 at 8:30. So Mr. Gray and Mr. Bowman, Mr. Bowman, I need you to have all your officers appear on that date. Who's ever going to state these allegations, so that we know that we're not just summoning the people of the city of Detroit to a jury that's not actually going to go. So all parties must appear, and that can be via Zoom. And the trial is going to be in person. All right? All parties must appear on final pre-trial date and obviously on the trial date. And what I would implore you to do is you need to figure out the right game, because it doesn't sound like you're playing the right game.
I understand, Your Honor. I appreciate, first and foremost, let me say, I appreciate the dialogue. I appreciate you sitting here and engaging with me at this level. So I recognize what you're saying, and so yeah, I guess it's to the table we go. So
yeah, but get your game in order, because I'm just giving you a little hands up. If you come in with that game on the jury trial date, then more than likely you'll lose, unless you can find one of those jurors or a couple of those jurors, or even all of them, to have some sympathy for you, sir.
I got a whole basis for understanding, and so yeah, if you know it.
Well, that basis that you outlined shortly today is not.
What was flawed in my what was flawed, Your Honor? What is
we
flawed
already
in
discussed it. We already discussed it. The federal rules of civil procedure that you brought up as a motion to dismiss, not the right basis. The corpus delicti, they do have a corpus delicti. They do have a crime that they say has been committed. And if you read the MCL, the Michigan court rules, and the Michigan statutes, then you'll see those crimes outlined there. They have them on the tickets. They got the statute numbers that are on the tickets. So that's not the right basis. So you're in a whole different ball game, and you need to come on to this ball game here.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I guess we will have that discussion again. I appreciate it. I also want to say I recognize and honor your compassion that you sit on the bench with. I see it as you go out here and you judge our people, and so for all of that, kudos, man. That's for where you sit. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
I appreciate
Yes,
that.
sir.
Mr. Gray,
Yes, sir.
you have a
Yes,
safe
sir.
happy holiday season, sir. And
You as well.
best of luck to you. I'll see you back on March the 17th, 2025 at 8:30 for a final pretrial. And let me say this, let me add to
Yes,
the
sir.
record.
Yes,
If
Your
there's
Honor.
any motions, if there's any motions, those motions need to be in writing.
10 days within 10 days.
Let's put that on the record to a motion. Those motions need to be in writing. Have those motions to the court by February 14th, 2025. And the response,
That might be the most important advice in the entire hearing. You're playing the wrong game. Translation, you can spend hours attacking jurisdiction, corpus delicti, or government authority, but if none of those arguments address the actual charges, you're not moving the ball down the field. Let me ask you this. Do you think Mr. Gray will adjust his strategy before trial, or is he heading straight into a courtroom showdown with the exact same playbook?